It is 6:24. We're less than 2 weeks out from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Thousands of Democratic delegates, 36 from here in the natural state, will officially nominate Kamala Harris as their party's candidate for president. But ahead of the convention, a THV 11 viewer wants to know if the newly formed Harris campaign is keeping up with election rules in Arkansas. Vice President Kamala Harris has already secured enough support among delegates to accept the Democratic nomination later this month. But ahead of the convention, THV 11 viewer Bobby has a few questions about whether the campaign is complying with the election rules and regulations in Arkansas. Bobby, let's verify. Our sources are the Arkansas Secretary of State's office and the Democratic Party of Arkansas. Bobby asked whether Harris met the filing deadline, which he says was November of 2023. The Democratic Party of Arkansas says there is no filing deadline for presidential candidates in the general election, the way there are for state, district, and local level candidates. The reason, instead of being selected in an Arkansas primary, a nominee for president is subject to a national process culminating at the party's convention. The Secretary of State's office adds that the state Democratic Party has until the 22nd of this month to inform them of their presidential nominee, so that deadline has not yet arrived. Bobby also asks whether the Harris campaign has met all other relevant filing deadlines, fees, and state-required registrations. The Democratic Party responds by saying, quote, there are no relevant state filing deadlines, fees, or registrations, and that the party's 6 presidential electors were chosen in accordance with party rules and state law at its state convention on June 8th. The party also points out Harris is qualified to run for president by meeting the requirements of the U.S. Constitution, all state and federal laws, and party rules. So we can verify, yes, the Harris campaign is valid in the state of Arkansas. Bobby does raise one question that may not be answered fully until years after November election. He questions whether the Harris campaign is entitled to the funds that were committed to President Biden. Legal analysts say because Harris's name was already on that ticket, she is allowed to use the money. However, complaints could be made to the Federal Election Commission, but historically, the FEC takes years to resolve such complaints, so the analysts predict the election will long be over for any legal wrangling about the funding to end. If you have something you want verified, give us an email, verify@thv11.com. You can also reach out by social media.